I saw a post today about, from the Toronto Sun, the editor and two reporters. None of them have ever been addicted to drugs, ever had to go through rehab, ever needed to take advantage of, clean needle programs or any of those types of things. We're criticizing a free program that will help people use clean needles so that they don't get diseases. And they were like, why don't we close those places because that one doctor was involved in something that went wrong there? Or why don't we make it so that Doug Ford, who's, running the hospitals the way that they're running right now, and not doing a great job at that, have him do it. So this is a reporter, two reporters and the editor for the Sun stating this. They're not experts at all. The reporters have never been through the drug rehabilitation program or any of that stuff. Again, they're making decisions and have not done any firsthand. They haven't talked to anybody who's used the clinic. In fact, if you look at the video on YouTube that they posted, this guy named Doug replied back saying, the sites don't work. They're not a solution. So I replied back to him saying, as you're a drug person who's actually used this facility, what do you recommend? So we'll see if he actually answers or not. I'm assuming that he's just under the impression that they're not working because, the best thing to do is just close things down if they're not working. Owen Sound did that with the homeless shelter. They closed it down. And it ended up that now people were living out in the cold in the tents. They were, sneaking into those ATM machines that are enclosed in so that they can get some heat, so that they can hide off, because there weren't any shelters in Owen Sound. So rather than fix the problem, let's close it, right? Same thing happens in other areas as well. You just close things. In fact, people complain all the time about how, look at how much the rents have gone up and da-da-da-da-da. You know what? There was a problem with a loophole in the Rent Control Act, and rather than fix the Rent Control Act, they threw it out. Since it's not working, let's get rid of it. Well, what happened? Now the rents have skyrocketed. Now you have more people being evicted because they can't afford their rents because they're so high. It's people making decisions who haven't actually experienced the situation. Pierre Pauvre, head of CPC, is all on about housing prices. People can't afford to buy houses. You know what? He owns many houses, and he is a landlord, and he rents those houses out to people. So he can afford, as a politician, to buy many houses. Other people can't afford to buy one. Other people can't afford their rent. But rather than focusing on the real problems, he focuses on how he can buy more houses. So it's something to be aware of when you hear someone say, this should be shut down because of blah, or this should be done because of blah. The thing to ask them is, great, okay, if that's a drug clinic, as you being someone who has used one of those clinics, in other words, as you're a druggie, former druggie, that's why you're making a comment on this. So therefore, we can trust what you have to say. In which case they'll be like, no, I'm not a druggie, right? Or, no, I've never been homeless. Or, no, I've never been part of that. Well, if you want to make changes in things, you have to be a part of at least reaching out to people who have experience in those areas. So if you're wanting to solve the housing crisis, if you're wanting to figure out how to get all these people that are homeless back off the street, then you need to do the homeless challenge. If you want to figure out how to fix a problem with, the needle reuse places, talk to staff there. Maybe hang out there for a couple weeks and talk to people that use the resource and say, what's working, what's not working. But spend the time actually on site doing stuff instead of in your boardroom or in your house and then making these decisions, right? I mean, it's every political party this is happening with. It's not one particular party. I mean, Horwath was the same way. She was all about housing. Let's get more housing. Okay, how about let's do something about the fact that the waiting list for affordable housing is so terrible, right? Why is it so terrible? Well, because there aren't even spots for people to rent at a good price. And, then you get, we have to get all these tent people out into shelters and there isn't money. Well, you know what? It costs $40,000 every time you have to move a major tent city and all of the cleanup involved afterwards. If it's a smaller one, you're talking $10,000. And typically they move them every couple of weeks. They'll be like, oh, the city popped up here. They move it. Oh, it hopped up here. Move it. Popped up here. Move it. And they just keep moving them. And so all of that money that is being spent on moving these tent cities, they could be spending on the actual problem, which is, you know what? Yeah, the city, the tent city is, you have feces everywhere. Well, you know what? That money that you spent on moving them and moving them and then cleaning up, you can put in porta potties. You do it for events. If an event's happening on a weekend, you put up a set of porta potties and then have the trucks come and clean it up. Then, then those people have a place to go to the bathroom. They're going to use it. Right? So that's my beef right now, is that if you're trying to solve a problem, you need to actually put yourself in the situation where you're there to witness what's going on, that you're seeing and talking to people that are actually part of the thing. So that's my beef, and I would like to say, Père Pierre, or as I say, Pierre the big whopper of a liar, needs to go spend 2 weeks in a homeless shelter and then come back and figure out what he wants to do. That's my beef.